Okay. Let me verify this. See, let's find out.
We are.
I'm going to check it. I'm going to check.
Hello, everybody. We are live on YouTube on Duke 1517, a Mexican crossing lines. Welcome to our show this evening. It's a Monday night. We had a good weekend. It's very cold here.
It's windy.
It's windy. It's a windstorm going on outside with
It's
rain
cold
and cold outside. Baby, it's cold outside.
It's windy. It's very, very windy. I can hear things flying outside.
Mm-hmm.
And fences and trees. It's very cold.
Houses.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We live close to the border of Canada. That's how far away we are from where it's warm. And it's getting cold fast here where we are. So I'm looking for us, you know.
Oh, yeah. We're there.
Are we?
Yep.
I would like to see us. Oh, I see us now. Boom. Yay. Found us. Why does it always take me so long?
Well, we're going to give people a few moments to catch up.
Lee says it's cold and windy and wet.
Yeah, it's wet here too. Yep.
Was it raining today? It rained a little bit today.
Rained all day long. Yeah, a lot of rain today. There's just gonna be cool and windy.
Ugh. I'm not ready for the cold. I'm not mentally prepared for it, and the fact that we just got back from Mexico makes it harder.
Oh yeah.
It was warm there.
Mm-hmm.
Like hot. It was hot.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
How hot it was the day we went to the church there?
Oh yeah, and plus the weather forecast says like 76, 78, and you go out in the sun when you're, a mile and a third closer to the sun. It's a little bit warmer. They say 80 something, and it's like we're out there just dying,
In Texas, in northern Dallas, they had tornadoes coming in last night.
Really? We were just there. Well, tornadoes.
Wow. It was very foggy when we were there, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very foggy place. I was like, felt like it was a scene from London or something.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to see where we were in that part of Texas.
No, we're just on the interstate. We're close to the airport because we had a 11-hour and 45-minute layover. And then the hotel sold our guaranteed reservation. And we were standing there at 11 o'clock at night dealing with Travelocity to make a correction. And they did. They found us a new place at the same price we paid for the Fleabag place we were going to stay, which I'm glad we didn't stay there. But then the people there at the Yo-Yo Hotel charged my credit card for a room we didn't stay in. So we're still dealing with that. Don't stay there. The Oyo. No Oyo.
No go to the Oyo.
No go to the Oyo.
You know what an Oyo is in Spanish?
What?
A hole. Like a hole in the wall.
It was a hole, for sure.
Literally named it after a hole. Anyway, tonight on my show about the Caravan Defenders, I will be sharing more information about all of the people that have become protagonists in this show, in this theatrical production of what's happening at the border. There is a lot of media, maybe more so because we have a president that's in the entertainment business. I mean, that's like theatrics are his thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's an entertainer.
Yeah.
We've had other people that come from Hollywood and that come from the entertainment industry as presidents before.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know who else.
And well, I mean, we've had a wrestler for governor of Minnesota.
Oh yeah, Jesse Ventura.
Mm-hmm. And
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the governor of California.
Yep. And And he's still doing movies. He just had another movie come out recently. A new Terminator movie
Oh
is
yeah,
coming out.
Terminator Geriatrics. Is that what it's called, or what?
No, and it's crazy that you should say that about geriatrics because Sylvester Stallone also had an action movie recently. And I'm looking at these guys and I'm just thinking like their bodies
Mm-hmm.
must be so like tired of doing these action
Yeah.
movie things, right?
Well, Jesse the Body Ventura, that was his name, and didn't do much for his hair. But he's still doing his newscast. I forget what it's called.
From Mexico somewhere.
Yeah. He's in his
He's
hidey
hiding.
hole somewhere.
He is. He's in hiding. So there is a lot of attention, and people make a name for themselves as live streamers, as community journalists, what have you. It happened at Standing Rock. We're seeing another iteration of that at the border with regard to reporting on what's happening in Mexico, in the United States, and through the Central American Triangle, and what's going on with human smuggling, and what's happening with trafficking of drugs and weapons over borders, what is happening in geopolitics. And there are up and comers in politics, in the entertainment world, in both countries that are prominently being featured in the media, like Paloma for Trump, aka Paloma Zúñiga de Lint, which we've covered extensively over the past few months.
Mm-hmm.
But there are many other protagonists. Many of them are American. They're Mexican American. They're American. They primarily have lived in the United States. They are primarily white or white passing, definitely privileged, no matter who or what you think they represent. People like the Antifa anarchist connected activists that we have seen in Mexico infiltrating parades, rallies,
Mm-hmm.
protests, marches of all types, covering their faces, destroying property. We've seen those people involving themselves also in the migrant caravans, in working with, supporting the groups, the caravans, and the traffickers, the coyotes, or as they're called in Mexico, polleros, that are moving people, stranding people, exploiting people along the way. And they call themselves human rights defenders. They're working with groups like Border Angels and Pueblos Sin Fronteras, who even Mexican human rights defenders like Father Solalinde have disavowed and called unscrupulous. Not just because they move criminals within the caravans knowingly, not only because they are trafficking humans and smuggling humans, but also because how they exploit the migrants they claim to be trying to help. Make no mistake, this is a money-making venture. For this to be happening and the opportunity that it presents to all sorts of culture vultures, people taking advantage of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a gold rush.
Yeah.
In a sort of a way.
It's a renaissance.
Like it happened, in Standing Rock for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And people were coming, and suddenly they had hundreds of people watching their live streams, and they were raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for different activists. And it was, crazy times of what they were doing. The same exact people connected to all of that nonsense that happened here and how it was taken advantage of. is happening in Mexico now, is happening at our southern border with Mexico and within Mexico. And incredibly, the very people that are working to manipulate immigration policy, to manipulate an asylum loophole, that organized images in the media like the one behind me of Maria Mesa and her 2 children running through tear gas at the border. People like this were given expedited asylum into the United States because of the antics of Paloma Zúñiga de Lint. Look it up.
Yep.
All you have to do is read newspapers. And now she has become viral for pushing a migrant, physically assaulting a migrant. An act, a criminal act on her part, which could actually give that migrant family a legal avenue to be in the United States. But I've talked about that as well.
Oh, yeah.
She's also expressed being close friends with and buddies with a coyote working for Pueblos Sin Fronteras who bit an officer in Mexico and misidentified herself as Sonia Vargas. Her name is Christina. I can't remember her last name right now, but I showed it on my last show.
Yep.
So, folks, it was curious and even more curious as people from these groups of traffickers and smugglers exploiting for cash, not for the good of the people, okay, for money, exploiting these people that wanted to get into the United States and claim asylum. It is incredibly curious that all of these people taking advantage of this should show up to defend Paloma like Joshua Nichols did, which I told you I found very interesting. Later the same night that we did that show, Duke, Pitaya Queen showed up making comments on our shows. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting because they hardly come out. They don't even tweet on their own platforms. They don't even post that often on their own pages. But then we're talking about Paloma, and all of them have been working in and around, benefiting from her theatrics. I will call them that because she's an actress. I didn't say she was a good actress. I just said she was an actress. And he said that my interview with our newest correspondent for Mexico City, Marco Barrientos, was where I showed him a video of Paloma, that it was the same way that people would react to my reports. And he said, Paloma is terrible, but all of your Paloma coverage is the pot calling the kettle black. Basically, he is claiming that I'm a hypocrite. Because in this white man living in Mexico, imposing his imperialistic and racist, quite frankly, ideas on the Mexican people and telling them how they should do things in their own country, this Joshua Nichols is a person that not only defends someone like Paloma Zúñiga, who I'm sure they're all working in cahoots with to get people asylum in the United States, but also is friends with the founder of By Any Means Necessary. Do you recall those flyers that the migrant shelter, the migrant standoff in the streets, in tents, in front of the Benito Juarez shelter, improvised shelter? Those pamphlets or flyers from By Any Means Necessary, that called for the border to be open. Open.
Yep. Exactly.
Let them all through or
Let 'em
we
all.
will shut it down. That's
Exactly.
what it said. Either you let every single one of these people in to the country without IDing them. You just let them in, all of them, every single one of them. Or we're going to shut down commerce and travel to the tune of billions of dollars for both countries unless you do it. That sounds like a terroristic threat.
It does.
And it claims by its name to not have any problem with violence because they will do whatever has to happen by any means necessary. That's their name. And the founder of that group is Yvette Falarka, who, of course, Joshua Nichols is buddies with. And so is Evan Duke. And they talk about her in the group introduction page where they all told how they had backgrounds beating up people as anarchists in Antifa.
Exactly.
If you didn't watch the show in which I told you about many of these people and the introductions of their background, their violent backgrounds, what they're willing to do, what they're capable of doing, and what they were going to do for the Border Support Network, it shouldn't surprise me that he would call me a hypocrite for calling out people like him. Because in his eyes, someone who he considers to be a racist, someone who he considers to be a nationalist in Mexico, Paloma for Trump, is no different than me because I call out American socialists that are running around Mexico calling Mexicans racist because they want people that are migrants coming through their country to follow the law, to accept the services and help that they are being provided, not to shut down traffic. Migrants don't do that. Migrants don't show up in some other country and decide to shut down the traffic, the commerce, bust out windows in government buildings, trash and destroy the host country where you're staying, and then call them names in the media. Lying. Because American activists like this Joshua Nichols and the people that they are allying themselves with in Mexico have an agenda, a political agenda, an international agenda that involves human smuggling and trafficking. And a loophole in our asylum laws. That these people are all but eager to exploit Joshua Nichols and his friends. And his white friends. And let me tell you, I can't even begin to tell you how ridiculous and hypocritical all of them sound when they're lecturing other people, especially conservatives, especially Trump supporters, about how ignorant they are and how racist they are, while they are going into another country and calling the people and the authorities who dare to ask questions about the lawlessness of the migrants in the caravan. Not all of them, but a lot of them. A lot. Enough for you to go, okay, we have to have rules and we have to make sure that our communities are not being exploited and misused by American-led organizations that are using these caravans as a shield, as a way of covering work with organized crime and human smuggling, because that is happening all too often. It is rampant. I have shown you evidence of people forming fake families. I have shown you evidence of people faking fake marriages. of lawyers groups promising services they don't provide, taking in millions of dollars and not helping anybody, lying to people that are willing to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, put their families and their lives in hock so that they can try and go and claim asylum in a country that is going to reject them 95% of the time. And I'm being generous.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
I'm being extremely generous when I say that. Currently, in Mexico, you have people like this, like Joshua Nichols, who defends people like Paloma, comes on my show to defend people like Paloma. These are the same people hanging out with River Doherty.
Oh, yeah, the oatmeal man.
The oatmeal man.
Mm-hmm.
Those people assaulting tourists, visitors, reporters in Mexico, Mexican people in Mexico. Like Mitchell Verderer and River Doherty. And many of the other people we have featured from their group and from Pueblos Sin Fronteras. Like Joshua Nichols in his post here. I'm sorry, this is Alex Mensing's post.
Yeah.
Alex Mensing, his friend, Joshua Nichols' friend, Alex Mensing, you can see right there. He's friends, Alex Mensing, with Gina Garibo, who's also part of Pueblos Sin Fronteras. And you have Joshua Nichols. He's also friends with Christina Mansfield, who is one of the funders of Pueblos Sin Fronteras, only like available listed funders in the United States from California, which is that group that changed its name from Civic to Fair Immigration, something.
Yeah.
They changed their name. Anyway, this is what Cultura Migrante, the group started and run by Hugo Castro of Border Angels. Hugo Castro of Border Angels, who they work hand in glove with.
Mm-hmm.
Another Mexican-American activist from California, Hugo Castro, posted this, and it was reposted by Alex Mensing. Says, for the Mexican government, it is preferable to see migrant people being trafficked, but not organized. Okay? They fight against the caravans, but they don't fight against the structures of human smuggling that aren't included, like the Instituto Mexicano, like Mexican institutions, like the cartel of the INAMI. So the INAMI is basically the Mexican Immigration Authority.
Okay.
And they're saying, and there's been definitely corruption within that institution and probably every other Mexican institution there is. I mean, it is sort of a narco state. 80+% of the country is controlled by narco traffickers. So, right?
Right.
It goes just to its logical conclusion that the government, in many of its apparatuses, if not all of them, has corruption. But that is not to say that that should be a reason why we, get rid of INAMI. They're equating, Hugo Castro is equating the government entity on immigration the same as the cartels.
Wow. Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. Basically, they're like, come on, and for a lot of people in the cartels are considered like folk heroes, What's really disgusting to me is that people from the United States whether you recently decided you were Native American like Lolly B, Laura Christina Livingston Berger.
Oh, yes.
You come from privilege. You come from the United States, and you come with all your kooky ideas of how the Mexicans should be behaving, how they should be doing things in their country, how they should be supporting asylum claims they know most of the people there don't qualify for, because they don't qualify for them either. And whom you are imposing your American socialist agenda on in another country that isn't even yours. If that's not the epitome of hypocrisy and lateral oppression and being a horrible ally and a hypocrite, did I mention, and a racist, I don't know what is.
Exactly.
And that is exactly the embodiment of these entitled people like Joshua Nichols, white dude in Mexico, attacking reporters like Oscar in Tijuana because he wants to know what the Mexican government is going to do for the people that have been deported from Mexico to Mexico. What is the Mexican government doing for national citizens to care for all of their needs? And why are we putting the needs of these American activist-led organizations, caravans, and human smuggling operations before the will of the Mexican people in Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
People want to know.
Yeah.
People have a right to ask those questions, especially when you see people like Lolly B rolling around giving advice to the indigenous people in Mexico.
Exactly.
Or Myron Dewey.
Mm-hmm.
Or a lot of these messed up Johnny-come-lately Indians like Lolly B, that for all of their PC talk about what you should and what you shouldn't do, how you should be a good ally, they have been for over a year invading Mexican territory, working illegally, selling lies to migrants, exploiting them, putting people in danger, working with folks that are providing drugs to the migrants, and kidnapping children. I mean, this is what they've been doing. And yet, here she is in another stupid video justifying herself as more righteous than anyone else, of course, and telling people how they should be listening to people of color, the people affected by the thing, like Mexicans with families in Mexico. Here she is in a clip just talking.
You have no place to make excuses. You have no place to tell that person that they're in the wrong for pointing out what you're doing wrong. That is ego. That is entitlement. That is justification. That's like saying when someone says, well, I'm not racist because I have a Native friend or a Black friend. Okay, that does not excuse you from existing in a racist system in whatever body that you're in. So when a person of color chooses to call you in, that means that they care about you. If they're even willing to put in the effort to explain to you what you might be doing wrong with the expectation that you might correct it, then that is actually a sign of compassion. So the most appropriate response would be to say, thank you. I appreciate you pointing that out for me. And then the next step often tends to be the white person being called out saying, okay, teach me. Tell me what I did wrong. Now, that is up to the person of color if they want to make the effort and energy to take that time to explain to you what is going on or what is wrong. Because really, all you should say is, thank you. I will go out of my way and find the many resources and allies and programs and projects and videos and books written about race that have already done that effort. So you should be the one to make the effort and go figure out what it is that you've done wrong. So, for example,
Okay, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Don't even sweat it. I will tell you, okay? And then afterwards, you can send me your thank you video, okay? Lola? This is what you need to know. First of all, you can't go into Mexico with your American-backed, dollar-backed, American Democratic Socialist, whatever the hell, Antifa-led crapshoot circus with monkeys included that you took to Mexico. And then tell everyone that you're there to back the people already doing the work. No, you went and looked for allies in Mexico that were outside of the system. Private shelters, not managed by the government, so that you could get your fingers into the smuggling thing. So that you could do that without the interference from the government, because all you've done when you've been in Mexico is talk smack about the government. And I'm not saying there's not things wrong with the Mexican government, but you have no respect for the laws in Mexico or the people there. That's why y'all are on a watch list. That's why you're all being investigated for being involved with these human smugglers that keep getting arrested, that keep committing crimes, many of which, unfortunately, they will not see any jail time for because their victims are all exploitable, undocumented migrants.
Yeah.
And this person says she's speaking for them.
Yeah.
And if you're a racist like that, you've no excuse. You should just listen. I don't hear this person listening. No. I've called her out I don't know how many times. Remember when she was carrying water for that fraud that pretended to get shot in the chest twice?
Oh, yeah.
Marcus
Mitchell. Yes.
Raised thousands and thousands of dollars, and Lolly B frauding was asking to have people support this nonsense. When you see people like Lolly B telling you to send money to the people, she means her.
Yep.
She means, because she just became a Johnny-come-lately Indian. So yes, she means her. She's speaking for the people now.
Yep.
And she can tell you about traditional and sacred, even though just a couple of years ago, she was pooping all over the sacred and pooping all over the ceremony of the traditional Sioux people, comparing it to culture of the peoples of human land because Burning Man.
Yep, exactly.
Because she's a burner, and festival culture permeated her understanding of her Indianness until she got to Mexico, and then something happened. But here's the truth. The truth is she neither respects the people in Mexico. She went shopping for the people in Mexico that were corruptible. Her and her clan. They all went looking and shopping for the people that were corruptible, that were purchasable, that would do something for a dime, for a buck. And many of them, it turns out, have ties to organized crime and are doing crimey stuff. But that's okay. Because just like it's Standing Rock, it's ride or die with these folks. When you find out that another one of them turned out to be a sexual predator, oh well.
Oh well, I'll go to the next one.
Time to finally do that call-out video where you say, oh yes, that person was bad and we all knew it and we should have said something sooner, but
now I don't associate with them anymore.
They don't even have the decency to do that in most cases. They will not disassociate themselves from people that are truly deplorable. And what tells you everything you should know about Joshua Nichols is that he showed up to defend Paloma Zúñiga. Pendeja for fraud. He showed up for her. And there's a lot of these people that I told you, like Mark Lane of the Minority Humanitarian Foundation, that interviews her like he doesn't know exactly who she is and what she is for.
Yeah.
And then mention her in the media. Of all of the people out there
Yeah.
right? Of all of the people out there, you don't see Mitchell Verder, Joshua Nichols, Jamie Skapowski, Lolly B, Jake Lee, or any of those Standing Rock phonies that showed up in Mexico saying Oscar El Blue Ramirez of Tijuana, the guy on this channel, Oscar El Blue Ramirez from Border Network News. You don't hear them constantly
promoting,
openly complaining about this Tijuanense reporter, this Mexican reporter, calling him the scourge of the earth, right? And saying, this guy is horrible. He's always reporting about us, because he is always reporting about you and what you're doing there.
Exactly.
But they won't mention his name. They won't say his name. They won't talk about him. On his live streams, they yell at him.
Yeah.
They attack him when they see him out in public. But when they're doing their own live streams, when they're talking and they're making their own posts, they're not constantly bringing him up. But they made sure to bring up Paloma. They made sure to let everybody know, ooh, she's real scary, everyone.
Yeah.
She's real scary. Super danger. Super danger. And then in this next clip, thank you, Melissa. We really appreciate your support.
Thank you, Melissa.
Couldn't do this work without you folks. We put this all together, going through a lot of stuff, so you don't have to. And as you're going to see in this next clip, it is so revealing what's on her mind.
Lolly B.
I'm done here. But white savior's the first one. So white savior might be that person who says, I want to go into this impoverished community and I want to make a difference. Okay, that's great. But if you walk, this is what not to do. This is what not to do. So you walk into that community and you say, here I am and I want to help you. And then you look around and you say, oh, I know what you need. You need a new roof on your house. That's what you need, because I looked around and I see that, and so you need a new roof. I am going to go out of my way and I'm going to fundraise. I'm going to get lots of money, and I'm going to put my picture all over the internet about how much money I'm getting to get you a new roof to this poor community of brown people. And look at that. I'm just going to hand you a bunch of money. Y'all can make the roof. And I'm just going to go be on my merry way and get lots of praise and pats on the back because I went out of my way to help these poor people have a new roof. Go me. I'm such a great activist. What not to do.
That's
I think
exactly what she does.
She's been doing that all along.
That's exactly what she does.
She does.
It is exactly what you have done. She is literally lecturing people on how not to be a crappy activist, a bad ally, a racist person, an imperialist, ugly American going into someone else's country and telling them what they need and how they need it. And she is doing that.
Yep.
She also goes on to talk about how there was a migrant, there was another rule that you should follow, which is really crappy to do, which is play favorites.
Oh.
So you pick your favorite migrant or your favorite Mexican or you whatever, and then you shower that person with gifts and support, and everyone else doesn't get very much of anything. That's exactly how they have cherry-picked those migrants that get expedited entry into the United States, like Maria Mesa, the person behind me, with the help of people like Paloma and Mark Lane and their media allies, with a little help from their Caravan supporting, defending friends. And she's talking about money. I've shown you time and time and time and time again that these fraudsters always take the money in for themselves. They don't tell you, here's so-and-so's PayPal.
Yeah.
We set up a Venmo for this person that they have direct access to, so give them the money. No, she's like,
give it to me. I'll distribute it.
And then she's making a video telling people that's the wrong way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong way to be an ally. You're supposed to be there for the people that need things the most. And what have they been doing in Mexico? Setting up shelters not run by the government so that they can traffic people, so that they can smuggle people. That's what they've been helping to do, and to grow this underground market network. In the border city of Tijuana, led by or working with 18 different nonprofits or shelters connected to Border Angels, and therefore connected to Pueblos Sin Fronteras, Al Otro Lado, and this network of Antifa-led organizers in these groups from the Border Support Network. That is a lot of money. We're talking about not millions, billions. I told you the caravans would start up again in October. And by golly, they have.
Oh, yeah.
I told you that these border activists at the Border Angels, the Hugo Castro who disappeared, the Border Angels executive director stepped down from his role and is on like unpaid leave or paid leave or something like that.
Paid leave, yeah.
I told you they'd be coming back. I told you that Irineo was already in Tapachula organizing the African migrants that are protesting and rioting, and formed one of the first caravans that came into Mexico. It started charging through Mexico, but had a rude awakening on its way.
Yep.
I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But let me just say about the hypocrisy of Lollygagger. She is so delusional as to be making a video that was sent to me by folks today, giving people advice on how to not be this douche bro American that goes into another country and tramples all over the rights and the needs and what the people there really want. That's exactly what she did when she came into Mexico, thumbed her nose at the authorities trying to take people to shelters while they were organizing people to go into these violent clashes with Border Patrol. So they could get a photo op with kids running through tear gas. So they could show the brutality of Border Patrol agents and the racism of America under the Trump administration. That was the frame.
Yep.
And boy, did they paint the picture they wanted.
They have, yeah.
Oh, yes, they did. With the help of Paloma, with the help of Alex Mensing, with the help of Irineo Mujica and Hugo Castro of Border Angels, with the help of all of those border activists, Border Support Network activists. And she has the audacity to claim that if you're a real ally, you should be listening to the people most affected by this issue, which are the Mexicans in Mexico, in the host country you've been pooping on, whose laws you have been circumventing and poo-pooing because they don't suit your agenda. Even if it means you have to lie to the migrants, exploit the migrants, put the migrants in danger. Danger that has led even to the deaths of some of those migrants who you kept sleeping in the streets instead of going to a shelter. So the fact that they want to blame the Mexican authorities, the dangerous streets of Tijuana, and not they're purposely keeping those people in the streets for the deaths of some of those migrants, for the exploitation that some of those migrants have had to go through, the illnesses, the suffering, etc. For them to be able to make their documentaries and sell their books and their movies.
Yep.
And further their careers as live streamers and go fraudsters. It's sick. It's a litany of sickness. But she is like the cherry on top of that disease. Listen to her next clip.
So by refusing to engage in that discomfort required to do the work to understand why someone is hurting another person, you are then forcing the person who's already being hurt to also do the work. So here I am doing the emotional labor of providing education because I feel that it is beneficial for the community and the highest good. If you all feel inspired to hit up my Patreon, I do have a Patreon account.
Okay.
I'll post the link later because I do realize that this takes energy and effort, and this live feed is the culmination of several months of working on these topics with a team around one particular incident, and then just like another one came up last night, and I just felt, you know what, okay, let me just put this out there for the most people to hear all at the same time. So I like wrote down the terms so I don't forget them. But so again, this isn't geared toward there's one.
Oh, boy.
Also, can you send me some money?
That's right.
So
By the
I
way,
can keep on doing this stuff to other people and then making videos about how I am so much holier than thou.
mm-hmm.
And she even has a section where she talks about how, you know what? You need to learn the terms because otherwise we can't even talk.
That's right. And she's taken the anti-racism trainings, stuff I went through in the 1980s, and she's co-opted it and acts like this is all new. So, did you know in the beginning of the United States, white people were in control of everything over the indigenous people? You should study our history, or your history, because she separates herself from all this, because she's the immune one, even though she's been doing all this exploiting and all this running. And she spent the past 4 months on this.
Appropriating.
Yeah, she's been culturally appropriating for a long, long time. Maybe she didn't go to Burning Man this year and she's having that sort of withdrawal, so she's doing this now.
Oh, she's been at a festival or two, believe me. And it just, it's a message that these people love to spew, but that they do not follow. They don't follow their own advice. They're above it, you see.
Exactly.
They have the credentials. They have the cred from being at Standing Rock or getting the water protector tattoo or praying to the sun or doing yoga or whatever the heck they think that they earned that allows them to act like these jerks in someone else's country.
Yep.
And telling Mexicans how they should be handling this immigration crisis. Here's the last clip.
It's the entitlement. It's this white entitlement that does show up. Okay, I'm going to get into that for the next topic. But so, yeah, basically, that's not okay. It's never okay. That should just kind of be a given. You don't take credit for work you didn't do. And especially if you as a white person try to take credit for what a person of color from an oppressed community has done, that is actually a form of violence. And that is a form of colonialism. And that is like the worst thing that you could be. So please, if you ever get called out on that, try to fix things, because you are actually causing more harm now than healing. So that is sort of the net worst case scenario, is that someone goes out and they try to help a community and they end up hurting more than if they had just never even showed up. So that's what not to do. Let's go into that time.
Yeah, you shouldn't show up, Lolly B. Why
That
are
is-
you showing up again?
That's exactly what you're doing.
Yep.
You're causing more damage than if you had not showed up. And the worst part of all of it is that you have always known that. You have continued to work with groups of people, the crimes of which I have been documenting for the better part of a year. And even before that, all your homies from Standing Rock and the frauds that they have perpetrated that you have been completely on board with. We know there is specific types of criming you're okay with. I mean, your pal Chelsea Lyons Kent raped a woman, and then you guys went on a road trip together. You're
Exactly.
cuckoo. You're absolutely cuckoo. And here's the thing. When you went to Mexico, you did not just violate the laws of Mexico in the fact that, you're working there when you don't really have a right to be working in Mexico without, paying taxes and following the laws of Mexico.
Exactly.
But also the fact that you're misinforming migrants, which is a form of exploitation. You are lying to them. You are taking credit and giving them false hope in an asylum process that 95 or more % of them are going to fail at. Except for that very small creme de la creme group that you guys decided was going to get expedited entry into the United States, like Maria Mesa and her kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jovi and his mom. Like the little girl in the wheelchair and her dad.
Oh, yeah.
You know some of these iconic figures. You've seen them in the media.
Mm-hmm.
And these people were swarming around them like flies.
Yeah.
Lolly B is no exception. She talked about doing poverty porn in a video in which she did poverty porn. This is a person that literally it embodies what all of these frauds have in common. A complete delusion about who and what they are, and an ego the size of the Grand Canyon. Totally oblivious. Totally oblivious. They have no idea of the great, great harm that they do. Maybe they don't care, but literally they don't see what the rest of the world sees. They can't see themselves. They can't see the joke that they are, the harm that they do. When you take a group of people that is desperate to try to achieve some dream of economic freedom, which is true for the majority of the people, okay, that are migrating to seek asylum in the caravans. Those are not reasons that you can get asylum.
Yep.
But that is the majority of the people, truthfully and honestly, that are coming to seek asylum. They want better economic opportunities. They're not in immediate threat or danger of death. And that's what's required under the law. So the truth is that giving those people false hope, making them put their life and the lives of their family members in jeopardy, putting themselves into debt, putting themselves through a system in which many of them were asked to lie or commit fraud, trying to defraud the American government and destroy the American immigration system. All of those things are evil in and of themselves, but the fact that you knew you were doing it without the chance of most of these people of actually achieving their goal is sick. It's sick because you know you're willing to put those people through that, and anything that might happen to them, including death, and it doesn't faze you.
Well,
you'll raise money off of their death. You'll do a fundraiser off of their death and do a tearful video to raise money off the fact that they died and you helped them be put in a dangerous situation where they died, knowing the chances of them actually being able to get asylum in the United States was a snowball's chance in hell. But you did it anyway. All of you working with, friends with all of these smugglers, these people giving false hope, these crooked lawyers, you and Lolly B and Paloma for Trump, these people, these characters, these figures have been in it from the beginning.
Yep.
They've been cashing in on it from moment one. They are the worst of all because they're not willing. Not for the damage that it causes, not for the lies that it produces, the misinformation, the heartache, the damage, the economic vacuum that it creates. They don't care. They're willing to continue to do it. And I just want to remind people that Lolly B and Jake Lee did a video in which they admitted, they still lied about the percentage of people that would get asylum, but they admitted that the majority of the people would not get the asylum. that they're running around with lawyers from al otro lado saying, they have a right to seek asylum. Like somebody's not letting them use the bathroom or making them go to the back of the bus or something. No, you don't have a right to enter into a process, to clog up a process for other people waiting in line for years to try to damage the sovereignty of different nations on your path toward your right, your in your mind, God-given right to clog up the system and do this when you know you don't qualify. That's fraud. If you know you don't qualify for something and you still shove your way to the front of that line, no, that's not a right. Nobody has that right. And these people knew that from the get-go, and they persisted in misinterpreting and misinforming the migrants' right to asylum. Listen to them for themselves.
Oregon is good.
In the U.S., can we guess how many would get it?
I feel like I heard 20%, but I don't know if that's
Yeah, like basically it's not
20 or 30 maybe, but
like it's a low
I
percentage
don't feel
of
like
all the
it's-
people that we've been working with, all the people that are applying. The sad truth is that they will not all get asylum. Like most of them won't get asylum. So it's pretty heavy, but this being a sponsor gives them a much better chance.
Being a sponsor gives them a much better chance that they'll get asylum. Since when has any asylum claim been based on whether or not you get a sponsor in the U.S.? Never. That is a load of crap. She doesn't know asylum law or immigration policy from a hole in the ground. She has no clue what she is talking about. And did you notice Jake Lee says, I heard it was something like 20%?
Yeah.
You never heard that. One of your imaginary friends told you that, because that's a lie. Look it up. Look up how many people have gained asylum. Look it up for the past decade. It's nowhere near 20%. I don't know if it got close to 10%, but maybe on a really, really good year. I doubt very highly that is ever been 20%. That's crazy. And then he goes on to say, or maybe something like 30%.
Yeah.
He's like, 20% is going to sound awful because the majority of the people that we are talking to think they're going to get it. We lied to all of these people. And then what was their marching orders? Everyone has a right to seek asylum. Everyone has a right. That's what they've been lying to people about and with. Because they're liars and they work with the people who are the smugglers. Like, remember Johnson and Johnson, or whatever his name was? I showed you videos of this guy who was a migrant, quote unquote, working very closely to the Border Support Network activists that were escorting, as they called it, the caravan. And his name was Johnson. Here is a post from his page. If you will recall, there's Joshua Nichols responding to one of his videos. I showed you that this Johnson page, whose name was something else, I can't remember his real name right now, but I showed you that he was one of the people organizing the caravan. He was the one taking videos of their locations as they moved, and the people monitoring where they were on the road were people like Joshua Nichols. People that were working with moving the migrants along with Pueblos Sin Fronteras activists and Border Angels activists. And in this other post from that page, you can see that this was Sam Slovic post about what happened outside of Benito Juarez. And who is at the very top of that list of people liking this post about the Tijuana Caravan.
Luis.
Louis, human smuggler Monsivice. He made a video saying he was a human smuggler for money.
He said he's a good one. And then Rob Wilson is right below him, a famous Standing Rock photographer. Mm-hmm. Rye Bread, seen Joshua Nichols.
Rye Bread is another one of those media allies that was out there pimping out the stories for them.
Yep. Lil Sinclair.
Sex worker.
Yep.
Extraordinaire. Mm-hmm. And all of the cast of crazy characters that you have seen who are there calling the Mexican people racist, calling the Mexican government xenophobic, saying they're anti-immigrant. Where is all of this nonsense coming from? It's coming from the United States. Mm-hmm. It's coming from activists like Joshua Nichols, who thinks that it's cool to go on national media or local media in the United States and boast about being a squatter. Wow. These are the kinds of people that go into Mexico, that come on my show,
criticize you,
and criticize me while defending Paloma for Trump. Mm-hmm. Why? Because I'm calling out their criminal dealings and they don't like it. I don't play favorites.
Yeah.
If you're a criminal, you're a criminal. But these folks do not have any respect for the local culture, the local traditions, people of color, like they claim. Mm-hmm. They're appropriators. They're people trying to pretend Indian and anarchist hippie their way through Mexico.
Yeah, exactly.
And Joshua is just that type, just like Lolly B.
Oh, yeah.
He, too, is one of those crazy wackos that goes to the festivals and tries to dress up like he's an Indian. Mm-hmm. Oh, why, there's a photo of him doing
exactly
just
that. Yes.
that. What has he got?
I don't know what's going on.
A skull of some animal on a stick, on a broomstick that he's lit fire to. Man, these people are desperate.
Yep, for sure.
Desperate for some kind of culture. Mm-hmm. And now because they think they're working with human smugglers in Mexico, you think you found it? You got to go and hang out with the Border Angels people that have as their executive director a guy that set up a narco wedding? That's who you want to hang out with? You want to hang out with the criminals and the smugglers? Okay, then. Well, here's Clinton Reyes. This is the Johnson Johnson character. Okay. The same guy.
Yeah.
Remember Clinton Reyes? He was traveling with the Caravan from one place to another. Then he would auto-deport. I'm going back to Honduras. And then come back with a different Caravan.
That's right.
I'm leaving because I don't like the tuna. Back I go. Bring another Caravan.
That's right.
These people are making millions of dollars smuggling and moving people. And notice that those that decided to be the guys that did that and work closely with the Americans in their midst got dibs on coming into the U.S. first and their families. They got help first, okay? Yeah. Isn't that sick?
Yeah.
It should make you feel kind of angry. And of course, you know, these folks were coordinating with the people smuggling people through Mexico, which now is something that is decried by Hugo Castro of Border Angels and Irineo Mujica, Pueblos Sin Fronteras, because they just wanted to keep driving caravans of migrants through the country. Mm-hmm. And now INAMI and now the Mexican National Guard are cracking down on them. Take a look at some of the videos posted by Border Angels activist Hugo Castro from California, who has recently been arrested and set free, and who's got a lot of run-ins with the law because of his helping in moving these migrant caravans. Here he is in a video complaining about, or here's a video from his page, Cultura Migrante, where they are complaining about INAMI and the National Guard.
One moment, please. Screenshot on your screen of that video.
Excuse me.
There we go.
You switched to a different video?
Oh, no.
We're at the convoy. One more up. Do we have a different one?
Oh, it was
That's us.
it was Cultura Migrante Convoy, and then the next
Yeah,
one
Cultura
is
Migrante Convoy is what I want first.
yeah, that's one I had.
Okay, I'm sorry. Here we go. And you see the military vehicles in the background.
Aquí, al parecer, está a punto de pasar un operativo. Se
An
encuentra la
operative
Guardia
is coming
Nacional,
through.
encapsulado aquí a los migrantes, la migración, la Guardia Nacional y uno han estado agarrando toda la mañana entre 5, 10, 15, 20,
They've been
hasta
stopping
150, 200. Hay un gran
100,
convoy de
200
militares
people,
aquí,
10 people, 15
ya
people.
rodeando a los migrantes en esta
They're
zona.
surrounding the migrants.
Se encuentra atrás el Instituto Nacional de Migración.
Inami's
Al
here.
parecer hay un operativo, la mayoría de los
There's an
migrantes
operative.
ha estado lloviendo
It's
y
been
la mayoría de
raining.
los migrantes se encuentran aquí, se encuentran las aproximadas las carreras del Instituto Nacional de Migración.
We have all of
También se
the
encuentran
Inami vehicles
aproximadamente otras personas
and others.
que se encuentran
There's other
y
people
toda la
here.
fuerza del DS han estado
They're sending all their forces
básicamente han
here.
estado despedazando la caravana.
They
Se
have
encuentran y
been
al mismo tiempo se
tearing apart the
encuentra
caravan.
la Guardia Nacional
National Guard is here.
y aquí
Someone here.
aventando agua a los compañeros que tienen miedo.
They're throwing water at our brethren.
Le aventaban un poco de agua.
They have a desire to throw some water on us.
Sí, ya te vi.
I saw you.
Huh.
So somebody tossed some water on him.
It's raining.
It's raining outside. He went by and they're like, we don't like this guy.
Yeah.
So this is what they do. Ugo likes to go wherever the Inami or whatever is patrolling in the area, especially around his shelter in Playas, and follow them around and curse them out and, talk smack at them, to try to get him out of the area. That's what he does. He tries to get him out of the area so he can continue running his operation. And these are videos, I think, of Irineo, because Irineo is actually with the convoy and he's moving with the caravan, excuse me. Here is a post from Cultura Migrante about a video where there's a woman who is, being taken off the road. There's people just kind of like went limp on the roads where they were being stopped and arrested and turned back to Tapachula. As the caravan was basically dismantled. And you can hear her in what sounds like some kind of French dialect, kind of cursing out the authorities. I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
Something, you're not something, you. I couldn't hear what she was saying. But images like that being shared from Hugo Castro, the Border Angels platform, in conjunction with the work of Pueblos Sin Fronteras, is meant to demonize any efforts to contain these marauding criminal operations of these smugglers in Pueblos Sin Fronteras. They organize a caravan, and a lot of the migrants that are involved in this mobilization are innocent bystanders that, they want to move from point A to point B. So if this caravan's going, they're going to go with it.
Yeah.
But no, they're going to be targeted. These caravans are going to be targeted. They always have been, by their media allies and friends, by the police, by INAMI, by National Guard, by extortionists, by everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's their job to make it look like the government isn't rolling out the red carpet and making things easy for them. Here you have a post from their page as they're turning a bunch of the African people in this caravan back to Tapachula. And here's a clip of the video as they're actually walking back on the road.
Why are you asking? Why? Why? What is that?
Turning back.
La gran mayoría de los migrantes han decidido regresar
The
por
vast
su propio
majority of
pie.
the migrants have decided to go back.
Volverán caminando hacia Tapachula. Algunos
So they're
de
going back to
ellos,
Tapachula.
Han decidido realmente.
Some of them decided.
Pues los que no
Those
fueron transportados, los otros están
that
siendo
weren't transported.
regresados a su propio pie, a regresar hacia Tapachula.
Return to
Es
Tapachula.
un grupo pequeño, la gran mayoría fue trasladada ya
Small group,
a,
majority of them
a Tapachula.
have already been
La
transferred
caravana
back to
fue
Tapachula.
desmantelada.
The caravan was dismantled. Now, as you know, at Standing Rock, we had reporters, I'm calling them reporters in air quotes because they were just live streamers, but people from one platform, and then they would be working with a different platform and live streaming together.
Oh, yeah.
Or they would be correspondents for this other live stream.
Mm-hmm.
And things just got wacky because it was all jumbled up
Yeah.
to where you had all of them working on each other's platform and posting from each other's platforms, and you couldn't tell who was what no more.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing here. Irineo, Pueblos Sin Fronteras, Al Otro Lado, Cultura Migrante, Border Angels, Viento y Marea, Caritas Shelter, Minority Humanitarian Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It's all one thing.
It goes on and on and on.
You're all part of the same animal. And they just call themselves this endless range of names so that you can never pinpoint the network, the thing itself. But it very much is a thing. And the really crazy part is that, they're calling out the Mexican government of AMLO. In this post, they're directly, making AMLO responsible for what is going on with regards to the caravans being turned back. Here's the video. You see the National Guardsmen marching down the
Una
road.
verdadera tristeza el ver
This is very sad
como nuestro
to see
México,
this, he says, to see
como
our
la-
Mexico
la Guardia Nacional
and our
los
National Guard
militares se han dado a las calles a perseguir migrantes.
taking to the
todos
streets
al servicio de
to
Donald
chase
Trump.
migrants.
Una vergüenza
It's
el
embarrassing
ver que López Obrador,
seeing our
el
president,
hombre que pidió
a
y
man
que
that
dijo respetar
requested
los derechos humanos,
the
el
respect
hombre
of
que
human
dijo
rights,
que esta sería
saying
él,
that
de manera humanitaria utiliza a los
migrants would be
soldados
treated in a humanitarian fashion.
para
They use soldiers
poder, manejar la migración. Dos
to
muertos
manage
todavía.
migration.
El Instituto Nacional de Migración
Inami's
se encuentra
here.
aquí en la parte de atrás, pero realmente
They're walking at the end,
es el,
in the back,
el Estado
It's the
se
state
encuentra aquí.
doing this,
Al
though.
parecer también la Comisión Nacional de Derechos Humanos
Human
viendo la
rights
situación.
is also
Están
aware of the situation.
ya de alguna manera conteniendo
They're
la
containing
migración de una
migration
manera muy brutal.
in a brutal
Esto
fashion.
es para una felicitación de Donald Trump más sobre cómo
Congratulations to Donald Trump once again.
como si estuviéramos en tiempos de guerra en contra del
We're
pueblo,
living as if
pueblo
we were at
trabajador,
war against our
solicitantes de
migrants,
asilo, o sea, violando leyes internacionales,
violating international
violando
law,
convenios, simplemente
breaking
ahora
agreements,
encuentran
treaties.
la forma de
They simply
pues sí,
find a way.
al parecer algunos de ellos se han metido a
Some of them
algún lugar donde se han encapsulado
have been
ellos mismos
encapsulated
para entrar a una propiedad
to go into a private property up there. So they're just, making all these videos from the Border Angels platform while these people are all down in Chiapas.
Yeah.
And it's Edie now and the gang from, Pueblo Sin Fronteras. They're the ones down there. You know what else is crazy?
What?
They're using Cultura Migrante's platform and the videos that are coming out of this for all of these different news sources. And it's concerning because this is being used as a primary source. It's such propaganda.
Yeah.
Look at this tweet, by Gabriela Cautiño, in which she's talking about the very videos that you've been looking at from Cultura Migrante, where it says, in Chiapas, in the municipality of Huehuetan, National Guards and INAMI and federal police intercepted the migrant caravan that left Tapachula, headed for Mexico City today. About 50 migrants were transferred to the migratory detention facility, Century 21, Southern Border # migrant crisis. And then if you scroll down through that thread, you'll see that Cristal Morales says, "Hi, I'm from Telemundo 52 NBC4. Did you take this video and can we use it on our platforms on NBC Universal?" And Gabriela says, "Hi, of course you can. The video was recorded by Irineo Mujica from his organization Pueblo Sin Fronteras. No, that was posted from Cultura Migrante, which is a platform for Border Angels." So you see, these things are being shared all over the place, and it's coming from the same source. And then another person says, this is what happens for having sponsored the first caravans. You look good, but everyone hates you. You create a flow of undocumented people that will now be very difficult to detain. You generate problems you didn't have before, not at least of this magnitude. They never should have supported any of these caravans. There's a lot of people that feel that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, this tweet is indicative of how Cultura Migrante and their solidarity with Pueblo Sin Fronteras in the use of their platforms and everything else is about their joint work. Here, this meme shows Cultura Migrante making fun of the soldiers of the National Guard in Mexico and comparing their fight against immigrants to that Avengers movie or whatever that was. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's not Avengers. What is it called?
I don't know. It's G.I. Joe's on one side and
No, honey,
Robin
that's not
Hood.
G.I.
I don't
Joe.
know. I don't know who they are.
No, honey. Oh my God. That's the Hulk. This is the X-Men,
Oh, okay.
isn't it? Who's is this from what's the Black Panther movie? There's some people in there.
Yeah, the superheroes.
Anyway,
DC
I don't
Comics.
I don't know, guys. So the fight against the fight against migrants by National Guard is like the end of the world fight that these superheroes had to fight for the world. That's what they're comparing it to. And the fight against narco trafficking, they compare it to, oh, you changed it. The meme we were looking at?
Yeah, one moment.
They compare it to the little toys from Toy Story, those little toy soldiers.
Yeah.
Or toy soldiers.
Yeah, they're toy army men.
They're not like, they're toys. So their fight against narco trafficking is child's play. their fight against migrants is like the end of the world.
I see.
They're making that comparison. And again, they're using narco traffickers as the standard bearer here. Cultura Migrante also made a post about Paloma. Here's their post about Paloma. Interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They specifically made a post about
Paloma, yeah.
Paloma Zúñiga.
With her
They
pushing the
want
migrant
you to
child.
know who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, they're sharing the article from Mexico talking about her pushing the migrant.
Mm-hmm.
In this other post, Hugo Castro himself shares all the way going back to November of 2018, Duke.
Yeah.
What does he say?
Please share. Paloma Zúñiga de Lint. The rest is in Spanish. Es una persona que apoya a Trump.
Oh my God, that's great,
Yes.
honey. It's a person that supports Trump and is organizing the people of Tijuana. She can't organize her breakfast.
Or even her clothes.
She doesn't have any idea on organizing anything, but she is working with those organizers. That is true. And the human smugglers and all of the criminals. And it says she is organizing the people of Tijuana so that they will be against the caravan. Paloma also has a history of attacking undocumented Mexicans in California and in New York. She is a racist that supports the border wall. So the lines were drawn. How many of these people have you now seen posting her up and being like, ooh, of all of the threats, this one's the Uber threat.
That's right.
And it being malarkey.
Mm-hmm.
Here, Hugo Castro posts about the recent arrest of Ovidio, the son of El Chapo.
Oh, yeah.
Now, as you may have heard, there was quite a shootout in Culiacan that lasted 5 hours because the Mexican government was going to arrest this guy and several people he was with. Instead, there was a sustained gun fight throughout the city at different locations for 5 hours until they let him go. They had to let him go.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had the audacity, Chapo Guzman's family had their lawyer go on national television to give AMLO this message on TV.
El abogado del Chapo Guzmán en México, José Luis González Mesa, confirmó desde ayer por la
José
noche
Luis
que Ovidio
González
Guzmán está
Mesa, the
libre
lawyer
y
for
está a salvo. Ahora
Chapo's
nos
family,
acompaña desde
say
nuestros
that
estudios en la Ciudad de México,
his
abogado.
son is safe.
Muchas gracias por acompañarnos en
Thanks
este
for being
día.
with us.
¿A usted ha podido hablar con
Have you been able to
Ovidio
talk to them?
González Guzmán, corrijo?
With his son?
No.
No.
¿Con alguien de la familia?
With
puede
someone
usted
from the family?
conversar?
Claro.
Of course.
¿Qué le dicen? ¿Qué pasó?
Well, what did they tell you? What,
Desde las 4 a 5 de la tarde.
from
de
4 to
ayer,
5 in the afternoon,
y nosotros
we
preparamos
prepared
conjuntamente con el licenciado Juan Pablo Vadillo Soto y Oscar Gómez el
I spoke to,
amparo para en el supuesto caso
these,
de que fuera
individuals in order to get
traído a la Procuraduría General de la República, hoy Fiscalía General de la República.
pass, basically,
Pero hubo
an
una serie
order
de
of protection that would allow him
contradicciones
to be
en estas 5 horas,
presented before the authorities.
que Archibaldo estaba muerto,
They heard
que Ovidio
that
estaba
we heard
muerto.
that
En fin, pues la
he was
familia se
dead
preocupó
and that
mucho,
Archibaldo was
mucho,
dead.
en virtud de que
there's a lot of
es una familia
misinformation,
muy unida.
Sí.
but people need to
Pero,
understand this is a
bueno,
very
pues,
united family.
¿Usted nos puede confirmar hoy que
Could you
Ovidio y
confirm
Archibaldo
whether
están a salvo? ¿En
Archibaldo
dónde
and
están
he
ahora?
are safe?
En un lugar seguro.
En Culiacán,
Yeah, they're in
Sinaloa.
a safe place. Where are they in
En un lugar
Culiacan?
seguro.
They're in a safe
¿Cuánto
place.
tiempo duró la detención de Ovidio?
How long was Ovidio detained?
Aproximadamente de 4 a 5 horas.
4 to 5 hours.
4 o 5 horas. ¿A dónde
4
se
to
lo
5
llevaron?
hours. Where did
¿Qué
they take
hicieron con
him?
él?
What did they do with
Bueno,
him?
no tenemos todavía la
Well,
la
we don't
declaración de
have
él, ¿no?
his declaration
Pero
yet.
finalmente, pues,
But
yo doy
in the
una
end,
conferencia de prensa en 1 hora Y voy a transmitir
I'm
el
going to
mensaje
be
de la familia Guzmán
giving the
Loera
message
al presidente López
from the
Obrador
family to the president
y a su gabinete
and
de
his
seguridad.
cabinet and his security cabinet,
¿Qué es lo que les quiere decir,
the
abogado?
security council. What do you want to say to them?
La familia les quiere
The
agradecer
family wants to thank President AMLO
porque finalmente
because in
él
the
ya ha
end,
detenido
they've
en
already
muchas ocasiones
other
en el
occasions
pasado
in the past
eran ejecutados
that where people were executed
Tenemos el
extrajudicially
caso de
executed,
Tlatlaya, Estado de
like the
México,
case of in the state of
colindando con el
Mexico,
Estado de Guerrero, en donde se
close to
mataron a
Guerrero,
24
where 24 people were killed.
jóvenes
Youth were killed
por parte de los soldados.
because of the soldiers.
Entonces,
So,
por esa razón nosotros
you know, we're
estábamos
very grateful
preocupados, pero
that
qué bueno
that didn't happen.
que asumió esta
It's great
actitud
that the
humana,
president took this
el
human
presidente esta
posture,
actitud cristiana,
a Christian posture.
y bueno,
And also,
les agradece
we're very
y
grateful.
les manifiesta que sigue en pie
The family's grateful
la
that
decisión del Chapo Guzmán
Chapo
de que el
Guzman,
dinero
still believes
confiscado
that the money
en los
confiscated
Estados
by
Unidos
the
de
United
Norteamérica
States
no pertenece
does not
a ellos,
belong
sino al
to
pueblo de
Americans.
México.
It belongs to the Mexican people.
Y básicamente ese es el mensaje y
So that's
agradecerle
basically
al
the message?
presidente porque lo ha dejado en libertad. ¿Por qué lo dejan
And
libre,
they're
abogado?
thanking
¿Qué
the
sabe
president
usted de
because
eso?
he's free? Why is he free?
No. Toda la información
All the
la
information I
tiene la
have
familia.
from the family is
Seguramente me la harán
this.
llegar mañana
And if
pasado,
they have more,
pero lo
they'll send
único
me more
que
in the
me
next
piden
days.
ellos es transmitir este mensaje
My job is to
de
transmit this
agradecimiento.
message of
Y-
thankfulness, gratefulness,
Y bueno,
And-
caray,
and
¿qué otra cosa podría decir la
What else could I
abuela, María Consuelo, las tías de Marta y
aunties and
Armida
the grandma
y su señora madre, ¿no?
and his mom
de Ovidio, desde luego.
Bien.
of Ovidio.
Abogado
They're all
José
very
González,
grateful.
muchas gracias por acompañarnos.
Okay, thanks for being with us.
Los aliados de Estados Unidos desde hace
So,
décadas. Y la guerra
Duke, what
contra-
did you think of that?
Oh God, it's like a comedy scene happening there. It's like okay, they arrested this cartel, error, and in retaliation they started shooting up the whole city, all over the place for hours, blowing up stuff, and forced the law enforcement to release him. Forced them to. They stopped to prevent more people from getting killed in the community that were innocent people. So they did a humanitarian thing and said, we're just going to let this guy go because they're just going to keep on killing people. And then the lawyer, who really hasn't even visited with the person who had been arrested, comes out and says, I just have a message for the president and to thank the president for being a good Christian and doing the right thing. And, good thing a bunch of people didn't get killed like the last time. But anyways, we would like to thank him for being a good Christian. And by the way, all the money that the United States has confiscated is not their money. It's the Mexican people's money. Like it's like it's going to go back to the Mexican people. It's like it's the cartel's money. We want our money back. So in the message to the president, thanking the president for being a good Christian and allowing this person to be free, we are also threatening that that is our money. And good thing we didn't have to kill a bunch of other people. Basically it's like
But isn't it weird that he's saying to the president, like, hey,
Yep.
that money the Americans stole from me, that's ours.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's saying it to the president
Yep.
of Mexico, like,
Uh-huh.
hey, don't let them Americans keep that money. That belongs to us.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on?
Oh boy.
It is crazy.
That is.
Only in Mexico will you get to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
And Irineo, now with the addition of glasses, perhaps to make him look a little less crimey,
Oh yeah, make him look smarter.
is doing live streams from there on his platform, on Cultura Migrante, on Hugo's platform. And they're pushing this message that the African migrants that are currently demanding passage through Mexico should be given that passage immediately. And of course, remember, the backstory is, look at all the other crime that goes on in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the same. You are treating us like we're on the same level as cartels.
Yeah.
And we're just doing good stuff over here. You know?
Yeah.
Listen to his video.
¿Listo?
Are you ready?
Nos encontramos aquí con Simal.
We're
Hay muchas
here
familias africanas que fueron
with the African families
deportadas,
that have been
o
deported
fueron tomadas bajo custodia.
or
Es
taken
mentira que dejaron
in
venir a
custody.
nadie. Este compañero Simón
This gentleman,
estuvo
Simal,
en la caravana.
was in the
Sin
caravan.
embargo, su esposa se la llevaron
His wife was
el
taken
Instituto Nacional de Migración se la
by the
llevó.
INAMI.
Dijeron 300 personas las
They said
dejaron aquí en
300 people
el
were
siglo
left here
XXI. Y
in
otras 200, casi
the detention
300
facility.
personas se las llevaron a
600 people were taken
Han
to
estado
Tuxtla.
cazando todo este tiempo,
They
han
have been
estado
hunting
teniendo una cacería. Ahora, lo
hunting
que está
them.
pasando, hay una señora aquí que
There's
se
a woman
encuentra
here
que tiene niños.
that has
los
children.
niños, se perdieron 3 niños. Hay
3
muchas
of her
familias
children
que
were
se separaron.
taken.
La señora que lloraba
She was
se perdió
separated
un
from her
niño.
children.
La gran mayoría de estas
The
personas
majority of
tienen
these
asilo,
people
han peticiones de asilo.
have
Todavía
petitions
no
of
habían
asylum.
salido del estado de Chiapas y
They left Chiapas
armó una cacería con
and they
solicitantes
started
de asilo,
hunting them
con peticiones de asilo y
with
todavía no
people
salían
that
del
are
estado.
requesting
Eso es
asylum.
completamente ilegal. La Comisión
And
Nacional de
this
Derechos
is
está
illegal. The Commission
armando,
of Human Rights
elaborando
is
algunas quejas, pero la verdad
is
es que
going
el
through
gobierno
these
de López
complaints,
Obrador cazó a
but the
personas
president is
adentro
hunting
del estado de Chiapas
in
cuando
the
tenían
state of Chiapas
solicitudes de asilo y es
with people that have
completamente ilegal.
asylum claims.
Ahora, no sé de qué manera vamos a
I
poder
don't know
devolverle
how
a
we
su
can
mujer,
return
a su
his
niño,
wife to
porque
him
también
and his
algunos
children.
metieron estos papeles
Some of
que
them got these
supuestamente les
papers
daban 20 días.
that
Después
would
les
give them
dijeron
20
que la
days,
otra resolución
and then some other
vendría a
resolution
los 30 días,
would
que
come
fue
in
el
30
caso de
days,
ellos, que la tendrían que recibir.
and
Hay
then they were
personas
supposed to
como la
receive them.
señora y
This
como el
woman
otro que han perdido 3 niños.
has lost 3
¿Cómo
children.
van a hacer para regresarles a sus familias?
How will they
Porque las
be
tienen
returned to their
representadas.
families?
¿Puedes decir? Ella perdió,
She
ella
lost.
dice, está embarazada, tiene
She's
un
pregnant.
niño, perdió
She has a child.
4 niños.
She lost 4
y,
children.
y ahora no sabe y
And
se
now,
quedó ella sola y su
she's
esposo.
alone, and her
Agarraron
husband.
a su esposo. Agarraron a su
They
esposo
got
y
her
solo
husband,
se queda ella embarazada.
and she's
y
alone
los
and
3
pregnant.
niños están perdidos junto
And
con
3
su
of her
esposo.
children are lost together.
Él,
He,
su esposa
his
embarazada
wife
se la
is
llevaron,
also pregnant,
y a su hermano
and there's brother.
Mas a menina está toda hora chorando a mamãe dele. Não sei como que se faz. Se por acaso tem uma pessoa que pode me ajudar, chama a mamãe dele. Por favor, chama a mãe dele. Porque nós somos homens. Quem toma medida dos filhos somos homens. Sou disponível, por favor.
Por favor, dice que le,
He said,
que
"Please,
le digan a su esposa.
tell his
la
wife
niña está llore y llore.
the
O sea,
little
si
girl
el
keeps
Instituto
crying.
Nacional de Migración
If the
mantiene
INAMI
a la
has
persona
the mom
cautiva, que la suelten o que
has her in
les digan
captivity,
al menos dónde
let her
las
go,
tienen.
or
Porque la
tell
niña
them-
llora toda la noche.
tell them where she is because she cries all night.
Que quiere a su mamá. Ella
She
todavía
wants her
está
mom.
amamantando a esta niña.
She's still
Y
breastfeeding
ahora en
this
las
child,
noches la niña no puede dormir.
and the child can't sleep at night.
Tenemos que hacer responsable al Instituto
We
Nacional
have
de
to make
Migración
them
y al
responsible,
gobierno de López Obrador, que
and the
no puede
government of
separar
this
familias,
president
son
of AMLO for
solicitantes de
separating
asilo.
families.
Y el 90% de las
90%
personas que
of
estaban en
these
esa
people
caravana son solicitantes de
are
asilo,
going
lo
to
cual
request
la ley
asylum,
dice que mientras
which
no
re-
salgan del
which
estado de
requires
Chiapas,
that as
y
long
les
as they don't leave the
armaron
state
una
of Chiapas,
cacería antes de salir
then-
del estado de Chiapas. Entonces, es
then
bien
they're going to be
importante que la
subjected,
Comisión Nacional de
if
Derechos
they
Humanos
decide to leave, they're going to be
revise
subjected to
caso
being
por
hunted.
caso. Y también
Supposed to go
la
case by case
ACNUR,
basis.
todas esas personas y organizaciones
All
de
of these
derechos humanos,
organizations of
tenemos que
human
estar
rights,
presentes en esto, porque esto
you have
fue
to be on top
una
of this.
redada
This
anticonstitucional,
is
una redada que violó leyes de refugio, y
dragnet
una redada que fue solamente para convencer el gobierno racista de Donald Trump.
to help
Así es
the
de que, por
racist
favor,
government
le
of Donald
pedimos al
Trump.
gobierno,
So we're
al
demanding
gobierno de
that this
López
government
Obrador,
of
que
López
regrese
Obrador
al
to
esposo y a
reunite
sus
these
hijos,
families,
que regrese a su esposa
to give him
y a
back his
todos los
wife,
demás que se encuentran,
and all those
que
other
están,
people
las familias separadas.
that their
Necesitamos
families have
que
been separated.
reunifique estas familias,
They have to be
porque son
reunited
solicitantes de asilo.
because they are
Esto es
requesting
completamente
asylum.
inhumano. Esto es una vergüenza que
This is
Guardia
a shame
Nacional
that the National
esté
Guard
cazando a migrantes
is hunting
que son solicitantes
the
de asilo
migrants
en
that
el
are
estado de Chiapas.
they are asylum seekers. Thank you.
Oh, man.
You know what? I don't know if this translated well or not, but every time he said they are asylum seekers, he was going to say they have sought asylum.
Oh,
But to say that they have sought asylum in the way in which he was going to say it in Spanish would mean they had applied for it.
ah.
And he corrected himself and said, instead of saying they have sought asylum, he said they are asylum seekers. Like, they would qualify to seek asylum if they were to go, I want to seek asylum, but they actually haven't yet or applied anywhere yet. So technically, they're not seeking asylum yet, but they are intending to. He assumes. That's what it sounded like to me.
Wow.
But it's not really well defined in the way that he says it. I was just, as I was translating, I'm like, every time he goes back to say about how they're all seeking asylum.
Yeah. And it's like, this guy looks like he fell off the turnip truck, and he's out there trying to frame this message and do the propaganda that these migrants from Africa are not being left to the country of Mexico to go seek asylum in the United States, and they're all going to seek asylum in the United States. And, the people are standing there, and it's like, first thing I'm thinking, well, where'd they come from? All these waves of migrants from Africa and Cuba and all sorts of other places, as well as Central America, are being basically questioned now and not allowed to just go across Mexico and get stuck at the border of the United States or rush the border of the United States and get sent back to Mexico. They're preventing the stuff that's going to happen if these people are let to proceed all the way to the border. And so his propaganda is that the National Guard is hunting them. We saw the National Guard, you see them in the back of me right now. And they weren't hunting people. They were moving people backwards. No, you got to go. You got to go back. Got to go back. We're not going to let you walk through here. We're not going to let you proceed as a big group. You're just going to have to go back and wait until you've been processed and some sort of formal paperwork has taken place, and you can get placed in. And maybe you're not going to be allowed to go through this country. And they're pushing people back. Basically they weren't even pushing. They were just marching, and people were turning around and leaving. And these groups have actually been confrontational with the National Guard, and they start throwing rocks and all this sort of stuff and cause fights with people. And so his propaganda was like, this is horrible, and it's all because of Trump, and it's like, they ain't going to get these people through into the United States, I can tell you that.
And this is very well orchestrated and organized, folks, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Make no mistake. It's all very well orchestrated. In this next post, Hugo Castro is talking about the chiropractors.
Oh, free chiropractics, huh?
Free chiropractics that Leti Herrera.
Oh.
If you look, scroll, they have Leti Herrera right there in the tag with Border Angels post about the chiropractors for the migrants.
Mm-hmm.
From San Diego.
Okay.
So they continue to bring in services to provide free services for the migrants that are in Tijuana.
Give them a spa.
From the United States. Yep. Is this not preferential treatment?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yep.
And here is, and remember, Leti Herrera is the one that runs Caritas.
Okay.
But that's not the shelter that they were at. And they talk about a lot of different shelters that they work with and in. And in this post, just from the 10th of October, you see Irineo, who's all the way down in the southern border there in Mexico, talking about the border closing at the International Bridge in Tamaulipas.
Oh, really?
And at the Brownsville border. Yes. Because he knows all about it.
Yeah.
And he even did a video about it, which I'm not going to share with you, in which he talks about the travesty of what's happening in Matamoros. And you can feel the long arm of Pueblos Sin Fronteras organizing the BS at the border in Texas and the BS at the border in Chiapas. Because they know. And they're working with the people that do this. And in this tweet by Elizabeth Lara, she thanks Irineo and says, also for your work with the migrants, this is the formula. Do it as a team.
Oh, yeah.
And she's reposting Irineo who says, with migration in chaos for migrants and Pueblos Sin Fronteras, it is a hope in a strong woman leader in the field as a candidate for the president of human rights in Mexico.
Oh.
The best ally, the best and biggest ally with the necessary determination and experience. So this is a person who is going to be candidate for this human rights organization in Mexico.
Wow.
Right?
Right.
And they're all glad-handing each other and thanking each other. Great. It's going to be great having you, Mexican government.
Yeah, really.
On my side, someone that, unlike most honest people, would call him what he is, a human trafficker. And Hugo is no different. In fact, he almost got taken in by the cops. Here they are raiding his home, his shelter on Playas. See the National Guardsmen running into the building there.
¿Pero por qué? ¿Por qué?
Why? He tells him he doesn't want him to film.
¿Qué le afecta a usted?
Es mucho.
Entonces,
Mucho y nada.
Entonces,
Que gana grabando.
Yes. Why are you taping?
Grabando, no van a intimidar,
No,
He's trying to intimidate us.
para demostrar que uno
No, it's not. It's
está
that
derecho, está bien.
I'm just doing things right. And then they take over his camera. He's filming. He's filming from the outside of the migrant shelter.
Yeah, the one that Paloma was in with the Arizona Patriots.
The one that Paloma went in with no problema.
Yeah.
And here is a video post, or the post from Gaba, his wife or mama, baby mama, posting that there was by force entry into the shelter.
Yeah, they're being victimized.
Here is a screenshot of the arrest where Hugo is transmitting the video from inside as he's going to get raided by the, police. And then here he comes. This is the video of him inside as the cops are going to arrest him. There was another video where he's talking to the guardsmen, and they're starting to question him, and he wrangles himself away by saying, I gotta go pee. I'm going to the bathroom. And so he starts talking about that inside when he starts the video. Thanks, Brad.
Oh, Brad.
Mel
Thank
Crystal
you.
Ball. Can't wait to catch up on your reporting after work. Everyone, send a super chat if you can. Real news right here. Thank you so much, Brad. Yes, and I'm trying to give you the MO of how these scammers work, because they're always scamming, and they're always having these run-ins with the law. You think that you're supporting some vigilante hero? No. They're part of criminal enterprises that traffic and that smuggle people and put people's lives at risk. And they do it for money. That's the thing you have to understand. They're doing it for money. They're doing it for fame, for fortune. And there's nothing really noble about it. But it may seem really, I guess, exciting. Here's a video clip from his arrest. It's a pretty long video, the original, but we're not going to show them that.
Bueno,
Es una llamada de auxilio
Well, I'm asking for help
desde la oficina de Ángeles de la Frontera.
from my Border
He
Angels
sido
office.
perseguido.
I'm being persecuted.
Estoy siendo perseguido ahorita por el Instituto
being
Nacional de Migración y los
Persecuted by
soldados.
the UNAMI and
Tuve
soldiers.
que correr a la
I
oficina
had to run to this office
porque me quisieron
because
arrestar.
they wanted to arrest me.
Mi único crimen,
My only crime,
y les dije,
and I said it to
me
them.
estoy... ¿Sí ve que cómo traigo mis...? Le dije, voy a ir al baño.
I said I'm going
a
to the
un
bathroom.
soldado. Me dice, no, ¿a dónde vas? Le dije,
And he
"Mando
said, where are you
orinando".
going? To the bathroom.
Entonces empiezo a caminar
So I
a la
start walking
oficina.
to my office.
Me echa de la madre el agente del Instituto Nacional de
The UNAMI
Migración.
agent,
Los veo que
curses at me.
me persiguen con sus armas.
they start running
Y
toward me with their
entonces-
weapons. And then,
A ver, una identificación, por favor.
Sí, ahorita te
ID,
lo voy a dar.
please.
Estás
I'm gonna
allanando,
give it to you.
estás allanando,
You are-
estás allanando,
you are entering without a warrant.
estás allanando, estás allanando. Bueno,
Entering without a warrant.
¿sabes lo que estás violando ahorita?
You're violating, you know what you're violating right now?
identificación, le estoy pidiendo.
I
Estás
am asking
violando
you for ID.
Una identificación.
artículo 76.
Article
de migración.
76.
¿Lo conoces?
Sí, sí lo conozco.
Do you know that?
Una identificación. Así
Can I
como
see
tú
your
tienes
ID?
Derecho, también tienes
Ok,
obligaciones.
sí, tengo.
Una identificación.
Dime, ¿cuál es su nombre?
Please identify yourself, please.
¿Cuál es tu nombre?
What's your name?
No.
He doesn't want to
estás
identify himself.
allanando estás
You
allanando
are
una
here
propiedad
without a
privada.
warrant. This is a private property.
Estás allanando una propiedad privada. Están violando la
You're
Constitución.
violating the
El
Constitution.
artículo 76.
Article 76.
Y está agrediéndome
And you're
y me
assaulting
quiso
me.
sacar a la fuerza
You try to pull me out by force.
de la oficina
The
de
office
Ángeles de la Frontera.
of Border
Hago un
Angels.
llamado a las autoridades
I call on the
federales,
authorities, the federal
estatales y
authorities, the state
municipales,
authorities, the
que los
municipal authorities,
agentes del
the
Instituto
agents
Nacional de
of
Migración
INAMI
a cargo ahorita aquí en Tijuana
that are in charge
son
right now
unas
in Tijuana.
bestias
They're beasts
irrespetuosas
with no respect
que faltan a la Constitución
that
mexicana
violate the
y
Mexican
al artículo
Constitution.
76 de
Article
migración.
76.
No alcancé a grabar el momento que me arrebata
I couldn't
el
record the moment when
celular.
they ripped its
Me
cell phone
agrede
out of my hands.
dentro de la oficina
Inside my office.
Aquí en Baja
Here
California.
in Baja California.
Todo el mundo sabe que soy
The
un
whole
defensor de los
world
derechos
knows I'm a
humanos.
human rights defender.
Todo el mundo sabe
The
que
whole
conoce
world
que
that
soy
knows
víctima de
that I am a
violencia
victim of
extrema,
violence,
secuestro
kidnapping,
y golpes y
schemes,
privado de la libertad
beatings,
por 5 días
taking of my
hace
liberty.
más de 2 años.
2 years
En
ago, I
este
lost
momento
my
sí
liberty.
estoy muy alterado.
I'm
No les tengo
I'm in
miedo.
an altered state right now. I am.
There's nobody there.
I think you're always like that. You're crazy. You've seen this before. You've seen the video of him on the side of the road. I'm being kidnapped.
Yeah.
And, we've heard it all before. I'm not saying he wasn't kidnapped. I'm not saying he's not friends with criminals and people in organized crime in the cartels. I don't doubt that you are because there's a lot of evidence of it, including the narco wedding set up by your boss. But I will say that, this is kind of par for the course as it goes. Here's the next video
Of the arrest.
of the arrest.
When there's no one there.
Esperanza. Sí, no. Well, so I'm gonna start. I apologize that I just provide information in Spanish. I'm victim of right now of soldiers who trying to arrest me, and also one agent of the Mexican Institute of Migration. He just got into the office without search warrant. This is an illegal action, and he forced me. He trying to kind of control me and arrest me from inside my own office. I'm the Border Angels director in Baja California. I represent the efforts of Border Angels. I'm a nonprofit humanitarian organization helping
migrants here in Tijuana, in Baja California, and I'm leading the efforts of helping 16 shelters in Tijuana and 2 shelters in Mexicali, in total of 18 shelters, plus other plus the migrant community, plus also leading the.
Excuse me? Did you say 18 migrant shelters?
He sure did.
That you are managing and working at and helping 18 migrant shelters? I told you it was a vast network of shelters they work in and with, and you know that some of them, many of them, are paid for, started by American dollars in Mexico, by groups and people involved with these people in Pueblos Sin Fronteras. And that, of course, includes Gaba Cortez, the wife of the baby mama of Hugo Castro. Here is a post she made about the Inami. Oh, let's finish this video. Sorry. I moved on before the video was done.
Yeah.
Finish the video.
That's good.
I just wanted to make a point of that because those shelters.
Yeah, that was very important. 2 in Mexicali, 18 in Baja.
16 in Baja.
16, yes.
16.
The efforts of the school mobile project and the cultural activities, and I'm the head of
the school mobile project
here in
bus.
Baja California, and I have been a migrant right activist since 2002, so I have 15 years trajectory helping, mostly as a volunteer. I just was had the honor to be the director, and now I receive a salary. You remember starting this in this year, I have been volunteering and
getting paid,
working with my own resources for most of my life. Helping the community. I'm really, really upset, and I feel in a moment I feel trapped. By the
trap.
The memories that I
trapped by the memories.
2.5 years ago,
There's
when
no one
I was
there.
kidnapped and brutally beaten up in Mexico City.
Brutally beaten.
And when I felt the soldiers with their guns and yelling at me and trying to arrest me, and when they got into my own office, and I didn't get in shock, but because I have gone through therapies, but
he was
I
in
kind of lose
psychiatric
control
therapy
for a
for that.
Yeah.
This is what is happening right now. Imagine this is what they do to a well-known human rights activist. I'm kind of a public figure here.
Figure? You are a public figure.
What can we? They are.
He thinks he's a
for me,
celebrity.
Yeah.
I'm a public
Usually
figure.
they go after a regular raid here, and they are waiting for me in next to the office. I'm gonna try to film because probably one of the officers went around and they just want to try me too.
He's barely gonna get his salary
They're kind
now.
of stupid. They know that I live here, so they're waiting. Right now I'm living here next to the shelter, and they are waiting me to depart from this place. What I won't do, probably they're just trying to find a way to get me. I explained them that I'm the director of the organization. By now they probably know, but this is kind of personal because the Mexican Institute of Migration just trying to grab me and force me to take me out of my own office. Action that I couldn't film because the officer took my cell phone away from my hand, and then he trying to do that. Okay.
Wow.
So I let him tell you with his own
words, yeah.
crappy English. His own crappy English. You think that the years that he spent in an American prison would have gotten him a little bit further on that English.
Yeah.
But it was in California, so Gaba posted about that agent that came in.
Yeah.
And calling, of course, Ugo a defender of human rights. Attack on defender of human rights.
Mm-hmm.
You see how that they're the heroes. The Institute of Immigration
is the bad.
Are the hunters. No, they called them hunters.
Okay.
Like they're hunting animals.
Yep.
Right? And think of how charged that is, knowing that these are mostly African, many Congolese immigrants that are trying to traverse through Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I don't know if you knew this, but in addition to almost getting arrested, or them trying to arrest him on 2 occasions that night alone, his truck was stolen.
What?
They stole my truck.
Well, look where he's at. He's right on the playa in the prime real estate, right on the edge, right by the border.
And look at that truck. It's a Nissan with a cab back on it.
Yeah.
Covered. He's like, I got a lot of donations and personal effects and important papers in there. It's practically my office.
Wow.
It's my moving wardrobe. It's my smuggling mobile. Oops.
Yep.
I said too much.
Whoops.
So that got stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got found.
Oh, the truck got
found. It.
Found it?
Yep.
Huh.
Truck found.
Wow.
In the next post here, you'll see that they talked about his telephone being stolen.
Oh, yeah. Was it in the truck?
It says his telephone was also stolen. And what makes this all worse is that the people that stolen are now using it to contact his, people, his phone contacts, and make extortion requests.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she says, if somebody does this, call the authorities if you get the call for extorting money. And then, of course, they post about found the truck. Found the abandoned truck that was stolen from Ugo. Thanks, everyone, for sharing. How often does this happen? She's always losing a truck, a phone, a husband. They just go missing like loose change in her couch. It just, sorry, lost something super important again. Persecution is his middle name. And it's also Edie Nails. And it's also Alex Mensing. Alex Mensing, another one of these white socialist American, I don't know what else to call him other than a very ugly
grifter.
Ugly American. Like the book, like the store, like the book that we had to read in high school. Because he, again, is working in Mexico, moving people from these caravans through. Here's a post from Pueblo Sin Fronteras about Mr. Mensing, with Mr. Mensing and a bunch of the contingent of the LGBTQ caravan of that moment.
Oh, yeah. They've been DHS Gov has been expanding its surveillance, detention, interrogation, intelligence gathering, and border militarization strategies in the U.S., at its borders, and abroad. 2 PSF members are part of an ACLU SoCal lawsuit suing CBP, ICE, and the FBI.
Oh, Nicole.
Oh, boy.
Nicole, Alex is jelly. You have a lawsuit against the government.
Yep.
And now he has a lawsuit against the government, too. Both of you have lawsuits against the government. Wow. What will you get each other for Christmas?
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely all suing the president, his administration, the FBI, DHS. Here's Alex Post. How many people is he suing?
It's CBP, ICE, and the FBI. Secret surveillance list on migrant rights work have been flagged by border agents for secondary inspection for nearly 30 times. This morning, for example, is attacking many, especially undocumented.
30 times he has gotten stopped at the border?
He's got to quit crossing the border when you just stay in one place.
30 times?
Yeah. Wow.
And, of course, he lets everyone know, I'm on a surveillance list.
Yeah, really.
Not for your migration work. Nope. And, they also got a really nice write-up about their continued endangered species list.
Oh, really?
Yes, they're all the victims, ultimately the worst victims of all of this. Lolly B, Alex Mensing, all of these folks, Nicole Ramos, they're the ones that really suffer the most. They're the ones that show up in the magazines and the news stories, and most recently in The Intercept. Oh, they're making sure that everyone knows their plight as human rights defenders.
They're being persecuted. Yep.
You can read there from the article in The Intercept that just came out recently, titled ACLU Lawsuit, CBP, ICE Journalists. You can go ahead and read those two paragraphs.
Okay, by late 2018, interrogation of Pueblos Sin Fronteras volunteers had become the norm. Volunteer Jeff Valenzuela Mensing's co-plaintiff in the ACLU suit got it particularly bad. A U.S. citizen living in Tijuana with family in California, Venezuela told his story of border harassment for the first time in an interview with The Intercept earlier this year, explaining how he had been sent to secondary screening a half dozen times from December through February. In one of the instances, which occurred on Christmas Day as he was attempting to visit his family, border guards searched his phone, and he was held for roughly 2.5 hours. When Venezuela attempted to cross the border again days later, he was taken into a concrete cell and shackled to a steel bench for approximately 5 hours with Evan Duke. Sounds like what Evan Duke went through.
I know.
For Mensing, the intensification of interrogations became too much. I just got fed up with it. I was tired of getting detained, and I was tired of getting interrogated. I was concerned about further retaliation. I was concerned it would escalate, he said, and so I did not go to the United States from January until September.
Well, how convenient for you.
Yeah, I'll just stay in Mexico.
How convenient that you could just be like,
I'm staying in Mexico.
It's getting too hot for me
to
be smuggling people.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stay in Mexico so I don't have to go through the hassle of being interrogated.
That's right. It takes 2.5 hours after all,
It's such a pain.
Yep.
And, the audacity of what these people working with these smuggling operations are saying publicly is hilarious. They're even openly attacking the president, as they did in this post, where they're saying to the president, López Obrador in Mexico, recently he has claimed, they say, that the caravans are organized by criminals. Yesterday, this was seen, but it is not true. They are organized for the mutual protection of people that are displaced, hunted by the policies of contention and discrimination, as well as bureaucratic corruption of the INAMI, the National Institute of Mexican Immigration.
Yep.
Folks, it was true. The president of Mexico has finally said in an article that in México Nacional, El Diario México, excuse me, he has said in a press conference that, this is a quote, people should not allow themselves, that's right, honey, that's the one.
Right.
People should not allow themselves to be tricked These were the declarations of President Obrador, his direct comments about the origin of migrant caravans as they came through Mexico last year and as they have come through this year so far. And he basically mimicked the position of the authorities of U.S. immigration. Previously, the president of Mexico had only insinuated that there were infiltrators within the caravan. Now, López Obrador said the traffickers, the human smugglers, charge considerable amounts of monies to transport the migrants, that they organize them in groups, and they commit crimes against the government, that they commit crimes that the government is combating, the Mexican government.
Okay.
And he said, do not allow yourselves to be tricked by human smugglers, because there is a whole network dedicated to this practice. We know them here as coyotes. Actually, it's polleros. The word is polleros. That make hay as they charge large amounts of money to transport migrants and are the organizers of these very caravans. They do not appear spontaneously. There is a network that exists for this purpose.
Oh,
that's
really?
The president said.
Wow.
It was very clear.
Yeah, it's very true. We've been talking about that for a long time. Finally,
yes, we have.
He wised up.
Well, I have questions about why now.
Yeah.
It's just getting more and more curiouser and curiouser. And I will have more about what is going on in Mexico and what is up with President López Obrador on my next Mexican Crossing Lines. Thanks for being with us on our Super Chat.
Yes.
Thanks for your love and support.
Thank you much.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.